So gather around, kids. We need to talk. If any of you go through with this, if you go to New York or Los Angeles or London or Chicago or wherever, and it is your plan to start auditioning, just doing whatever it is that newcomers who don't already know people in the industry do to get jobs, to become an actor, you're going to find that you are meeting celebrities for the first time in your life. It just always happens. I don't mean that you are, fast track to the top. It just happens. You're going to run into them because it's an industry. And I don't mean seeing them on the sidewalk. I don't mean seeing them at the supermarket. I mean, you're at a party that you were legitimately invited to, and there is a celebrity there who was legitimately invited. And for that little moment, you are social peers. This one primal situation, I've got this powerful person's attention for 1 minute. What do I do? What they always say is be yourself. That is absolutely no help whatsoever, because which self? Is it you with your parents? Is it you with your friends? Is it you on a first date? Is it you on a 25th date? Is it you on a job interview? Is it you with your high school friends? Is it you with your new acting friends? These are all you, and they're all completely different, and none of them are going to help you when you are suddenly face-to-face with your very first movie star, or even your second or, 19th movie star. We're raised in a culture that worships celebrity, and nobody is immune. I promise you, nobody is immune. What I'm hoping I will be saying here today is the most useful thing if you're one of those people who gets no help from be yourself, which I think is most of us. Now, here's the first thing, and it's maybe the most important. I'm not even really sure. It's just that you're not going to get anything out of this. There is no way to play it that you're going to improve your chances of an acting career through this random social meeting with a famous person. Now, if this famous person is an actor, this is almost 100% true. If this famous person is a producer, a director, or a casting director, well, A, they're not that famous. There's a tiny number of movie directors who you would say were famous, and an even smaller number of producers. And I don't know that there's a single casting director who is famous. I'm talking about actors. There's a teeny tiny number of actors who have a producer's power. It's because they're so famous that if they agree to make a movie, that movie gets made. The money will just appear if so-and-so says, I will be in this movie. Those people are not casting their movie projects out of random unknown people that they meet at parties. Everybody in Hollywood is constantly terrified. Even the most famous, the most successful, they're all bedeviled by a low-level insecurity, and they are not going to put a single position in their big new project to an unknown. You're not going to get anything out of meeting a celebrity at a party. So don't think about it. Don't worry about it. Don't let that lead you down the road of making a fool of yourself. The most that you can hope for from running into a celebrity at a social gathering is that if you meet them again sometime in the future, then you have the right to say, hey, we met at so-and-so's party. And they'll either remember or they won't. But that's not nothing, honestly, because it at least gives them that tiny feeling of, oh, this is one of the people who, I know. They're part of, in some extended way, this world that I live in. And that's not nothing. So the second thing, which is maybe just as important as the first thing, is just this is how you do it. You see the celebrity, and maybe it's like the first time, like you are literally just realizing that you're standing right next to them. You take the attitude of, well, this is great. Oh my God, look who it is. This is wonderful. I am, I was almost to say I'm a big fan. You don't have to go there. It's like, oh my God, what are you doing here? Take the attitude of, this is the nicest thing that's happened all day. Great. But nothing more. You don't gush. You don't say, oh, my life is changing. You don't do anything to make it weird for them. But you just play a casual happiness, like you walk into the room and I smile. I can't help it. And this is something that you're sort of playing, but you don't have to say any of this. You're just a casual, brightening. You're cheered up just by seeing them, and that's it. Nothing less, nothing more. What do you say? What do you talk about? Three big rules. Do not talk about them or their career. Do not, or, God forbid, their private life. Do not talk about yourself. Do not talk about your private life or your career. Off limits, them and you. What you can talk about is some random third thing that's happening right in front of you. That's the best. If something kind of neat or unexpected is happening at the party, you can talk about that. Like, those two guys just got in a fight. Who is that? Do you know anything about that? Oh, he punched him and he went to the ground. Something like that is great. You can talk about that with them. You might want to avoid third-party topics like politics or religion. It's probably best to move off of that. And I would even go so far as to say, don't talk about things that you know are their pet topics. If you've got somebody who is just absolutely dead set on saving the redwood trees of California, don't talk about the redwood trees of California, because probably everybody does that. Pick something more local, more casual. If there's absolutely nothing happening at the party and you are almost about to start talking about the food, which you shouldn't do, it wouldn't hurt to have some little something ready. I don't even know what, but something that fits the general category of interesting enough to get a response, but not a cliche, basic admission that there's nothing to talk about. That's when you're talking about the weather and the food, or you're like, oh, how do you know so-and-so? You want something a little bit better than that, because you're an interesting person, but nothing deep, nothing profound, nothing intellectual, nothing philosophical, nothing tortured from the bottom of your soul, unless the celebrity turns the conversation in that direction. And some of them will. And please try to remember, if you don't know them and you're not famous, this is not going to go on for very long. A minute at the most. You should be prepared for it to be ending after a minute. If it's going on longer than that, that means the celebrity is keeping it going, and that's fine. You should not be working to keep it going over a minute. If they're giving you ways out, or you feel like you should, you're reaching the midnight and you're about to turn into a pumpkin, just find a way to move away without. I once did this a little prematurely, and it was like I felt after the fact that it was like I was trying to get away from the celebrity. And all I was really trying to do was to not keep it going past the time. So you just have to judge this as it happens naturally. I was once at a very small party. There would have been 5 or 6 of us. It wasn't even a party. We were going out. And there was a movie star there who was talking to me. And it was making me very nervous to be talking to this celebrity. And I know you can't let this thing go on too long. And I saw an opportunity to set her free so that she didn't have to talk to me anymore. But she wasn't in that mindset. And I kind of ended it too abruptly. Don't make that mistake too, because it was almost like I was trying to get away from her, which I was not. But you know, this is how this stuff works. And if you're a human being, it's the kind of thing that 5 years later, you wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat thinking about that time that you did this or that or the next thing. I'm trying to help you avoid that. I'll tell you, when I first started thinking about this, I was at a little party and there would have been maybe 12 people there. This was a pre-party before going to another much bigger party. And these 12 people were in basically two groups that didn't know each other. There was only one person who knew both groups. It was the little group that I was in, and it was the little group around the movie star. And the two different groups were not talking that much. In fact, the only person who was making an effort to bridge the gap was the movie star, who was really cool and a lot of fun and really nice. You could see how, people like her. And I was watching the other group from across the room and thinking, oh, there's that movie star. What should I do? And it suddenly occurred to me, there was nothing I could do. There was nothing for me to do because I'm a writer. I had nothing, ready to go for her to play in. She's not a producer anyway. And she wasn't going to commission me to write something for her. There was nothing that I could possibly get from her. And that freed me up. She was just a regular person at the party who happened to be more successful at her job than I was at mine at that time. And it's an important lesson to remember. The vast majority of celebrities can do absolutely nothing to help you. You want to be nice to them. You want to have them like you just in the general way that the general population likes you, that you like humanity. So this problem of meeting celebrities goes one step further, and that is meeting the same celebrity for the second time, especially if it's like under 2 years or even under 5 years. When you meet the same celebrity a second time, what do you do? This happened to me once. I had been doing a play of mine was being produced, and for some random reason, the director knew this famous actor, and the famous actor came to see my play, and we were introduced, and that was it. It was just a very short, random introduction of the writer and the actor who would come to see the play because he knew the director. Well, about 6 months later or a year later, I was at a rehearsal for this thing, and there's the actor. And I went through this tiny, momentary panic of, he won't remember me. It was too brief. It was too short. He won't remember me. And right about that time, somebody introduced us. And in that brief moment, my mouth just said, oh, it's nice to meet you. Well, I thought about it. My brain turned on, took over from my mouth, and I kind of thought to myself, no, that won't do. That's not good enough. We have met before. And I turned around in my seat and I said to him, actually, I think we've met before. And this actor went, yeah. And it was on the tip of my tongue to just go, movie star, which would have been kind of funny, but I didn't do it because I was too shy. And to this day, I don't know what he meant by, yeah. I assume it was nothing good. In fact, there's no reason to keep this guy's, identity anonymous. It was Paul Rudd. So, Mr. Rudd, if you're watching this, you can tell me what you meant by, yeah. Even if it was bad, that's fine. So what is the advice I'm giving you? In this case, I don't really have any good advice. I just hope that you do better than I did at that moment. So can I try to summarize here? Yes, I suppose. 1, you're not going to get anything out of it. Don't expect to get anything out of it. Don't let the expectation that you are going to maybe get something out of it lead you into making a fool of yourself. 2, the only thing you could ever hope to get out of it is that if you meet the same celebrity again, you can then say, hey, we met once before at that party. For what it's worth, that is probably the most you can ever get out of it. 3, do not talk about the celebrity. Don't ask them questions. Don't tell them things that they already know about themselves. Don't talk about the celebrity. 4, don't talk about yourself. Don't talk about your career. Don't talk about your childhood. Don't talk about your hopes and dreams. Don't talk about yourself. 5, talk about some independent third topic that is either like right around you at this fascinating party, which is probably the best, or 6, in a pinch, you can have something ready. This helps if you are at least partly a writer. 7, when you meet a celebrity for the second time, don't expect them to remember you, but don't expect them to forget you. Just play it by ear. 8, and this is probably the single most important takeaway from this video. Play it like this. Hey, wow. Nothing more, nothing less. You're happy. You're just generally happy to see someone, and that's really all it should be. Don't make the mistake of going into the, oh yeah, I know who you are. Yeah, you were great in Silver Linings Playbook. What have you done lately? Don't do that. Don't go down that road. Absolutely not. I was once walking down the street, and this certain famous person was walking towards me, going in the opposite direction. And I was trying to think of, should I do anything? Well, no, that's not true. Let me start over. I was once walking down the street, and this certain famous person was coming at me. But that's not what I was thinking. What I was thinking is, who is this? Where do I know this person from? Do I know this person from my hometown? Do I know him from school? Do I know him from work? Where do I know this person? Suddenly it was like, oh no, that's a movie star. And as this person passed me, I just turned and said over my shoulder, you made my day. And this person kind of looked back and said, thank you. And seemed, now remember, this person is a very talented actor, so who knows, seemed to be genuinely happy. And I thought for a minute, well, that was the right thing to say. And I stand by that. But you really shouldn't hope for anything more. Now, if you are particularly skilled at layering your emotions, you can put onto this tiny little tinge of, well, this is random. I wasn't expecting this. But don't let that overwhelm, because you don't want them to feel like they're some kind of freak. Now, folks, I'm not telling you all this because I think I'm really good at this. No, it's the opposite. I'm telling you from my experience of getting it wrong. And sometimes, well, I don't know if I got it wrong because there's no way to find out. But also I just have this sort of faint nagging feeling that somehow that social interaction wasn't quite right. But I know when I'm meeting non-famous people, it can go quite well. So I'm hoping that you learn from my mistakes. So this happened. I don't even know if this fits this video's topic. I guess it does. I was at work, and this, let's say, a customer or a client showed up. And the first thing I thought was, wow, this woman looks so much like Anne Hathaway. She probably gets it 5 times a day. And then a few minutes later, I was thinking, no, this is Anne Hathaway. This has to be Anne Hathaway. But there was nothing about the interaction that would tell me that. And I was puzzling because I was dealing with her for about 90 minutes. And about 45 minutes through this, I had decided this is Anne Hathaway. And I've seen Anne Hathaway my entire life. Is it possible that I was wrong? I suppose so, but honestly, people, viewers, I don't think so. I think it was Anne Hathaway. And about 45 minutes, I had to decide, do I address this fact that Anne Hathaway is here and that I'm dealing with Anne Hathaway? Because I didn't have to. And I just started postponing making that decision. And this interaction continued for another 45 minutes, and then it was wrapping up, and it was time for me to leave. And I had to decide, and I decided, say nothing. I guess partly because I wasn't quite sure if indeed it was, although I pretty much am decided now that it was. It's not impossible. And now I wonder, would she have found that, I don't know what the word is, insulting, disappointed? Did she feel like she had been snubbed? Because she had her dog with her, and a bunch of little girls ran up, and they wanted to pet the dog. And this woman, who may or may not have been Anne Hathaway, was saying, well, this dog you can pet, but this one you can't because she's very old or something like that, blah, blah, blah. The little girls never glanced at her. The little girl's mother never glanced at her. They were looking at the dog. So I couldn't even tell by that, because I was hoping somebody would say, oh my God. So I guess what I'm saying is, Anne Hathaway, if you're watching, I knew it was you. I knew 95% that it was you. I just didn't know what to say. The only thing that I knew to say was, hey, I've got 2 projects that you would be great in. And I know that's not cool. If you're dealing with somebody like that in a situation that isn't specifically a meeting to discuss a project, you don't go up and say, hey, I've got a project for you, or I've got 2 projects for you, which I do, but that's beside the point. Now, I have seen Anne Hathaway my entire life. How is it possible that I could be looking directly at this person for 90 minutes and not know definitively whether or not it was one of the most famous and distinctive faces in America? I'm willing to go further, the world. There's not a whole lot of people who look like Anne Hathaway. How could I make a mistake? How could I not be sure? Well, there's a couple of ways. One is because her look is distinctive, anybody who creeps into that territory a little bit, you're going to think, is that Anne Hathaway? I think that's Anne Hathaway, even if it's not. And you couple this with, just wanting it so much. Maybe I just want to think of my life as being more glamorous than it is. And so I like the idea that I spent 90 minutes with Anne Hathaway, but I didn't. Just so we're clear, I think I did. But I can't prove it. And I'll always have that little 1 to 5% of uncertainty. The thing that convinced me was about halfway through this 90 minutes that I was with this person, I made a little joke. It was kind of a half funny joke. And this person, who may or may not have been a major movie star, shot me a look. She just did this. And it was such a movie star gesture, such a movie star expression. Actors are very expressive, and they can say a whole lot with just one look. And that's the energy I was getting from this person. So here's another wrinkle in this pile of unfolded laundry. Eventually, you're going to be friends with somebody who has access to this or that major celebrity, and you will find that people who have regular people who have access to a celebrity will defend that celebrity to the death. They are desperate to prove their loyalty to the celebrity over all their other friends, desperate to prove that they understand the rules of this game under which they have access to the celebrity. So what I'm saying is, you're not going to get anything out of it. Don't try. Even if you broach the issue in the most careful, casual, minor, polite way, as in something like, hey, do you think that so-and-so famous person would maybe like to come to my thing where I'm doing some acting? You will be shut down immediately. No, of course they don't want to go. Don't ask. It's terrifying, the lengths that some people will go to prove their loyalty to some rich and powerful person. It can be incredibly frustrating to think that you are, just this close to a person who, with just the merest lifting of their finger for 5 minutes of minimal effort, they could change your life. And to think that you just can't make that little step. So, a few years ago, I worked with this one actor. It was very brief. It was just an afternoon rehearsal, an evening reading, and then drinks at the bar across the street. It's a great guy. He was very compelling, very charismatic. And then I just happened, through chance, to run into him again at a similar event about a year later, and we talked again. And again, he was incredibly compelling and charismatic, just a great guy. In the intervening years, this guy has blown up into one of the biggest stars in the world. This is not an exaggeration. The thing is now it can be slightly maddening just to know that I had this contact with this guy who now could, in 5 minutes of his spare time, completely change my life. And when I was planning this video, I was trying to come up with a little list of reasons why that was a logical fallacy. No, he actually couldn't. And the more I thought about it, I realized, no, he really could. That's the way these things work in this, attention society that we live in. The point I'm trying to make is you can't live there because it's not going to happen. You have to just do the work. It's like those people who spend hundreds of dollars a month on lottery tickets. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. Do not drive yourself crazy with these alternative reality scenarios. Let's just keep all this between ourselves for now, okay? So this is one of my very few videos where I'm willing to say, and say sincerely, if you have anything to contribute to this topic, please comment, and comment at length. I really want to hear, and maybe some of the other people who are looking at this video will also want to hear. So go ahead, unburden yourself.
Truthful Parson Brown, living in a southern town.
What is that actor's name? Not Deuteronomy, not Leviticus, Jude Law.